Hi everybody, this is Ospreyeye from MyChartCoach.com, and in this video we're going to take a look at the indexes, and we're going to take a look at Bitcoin and Bitcoin Investment Trust. Okay, so first up, let's take a look at the Nasdaq Composite, ticker symbol COMPQ. This was a historic day today. It closed at an all-time high. As you can see here on RSI, it's currently at 63, so it's still below the 70 overbought level. So there still is room to run on RSI until it hits that 70 level. So this is a historic run, but it's signaling that there is potential for more upside. If you look at Fasto, it is at 97 and is signaling temporarily overbought. But if you look at the last big run, Fasto stayed above 80 for multiple weeks. So yeah, if you compare it to the last run, this could still have a nice push. If you look at the July multi-day run there. So what we want to see now, if you're a bull, you want to see this closing price here on the 26th turn into support. It closed just above that level today. The next key level to break is going to be the opening price here at 6460. That's the next big resistance level. And then if it can get above that, then you're looking at a blue sky breakout. To the downside, there is a gap below between high of day yesterday and low of day today. So and just below is EMA4. So that would be the first support level down here at 6362. So the big move this week has been the break above the middle Bollinger Band. That's the dotted purple line here, currently at 6304. As long as that level holds, the new uptrend is intact. So it's been 3 days in a row that Nasdaq's been able to close above that level. So it does look like a new uptrend is starting. If this closing price here back in July, the high close resistance level, fails to break and turn into support, this could form a double top, and you could see the share price pull back and consolidate. There was a bull cross on ADX up here, plus DI cross minus DI to the upside. There was a parabolic SAR bullish flip yesterday. Notice the green dots were above the candles as the share price was pulling back, and now they flip below, signaling the possible start of a new uptrend. There was also recent bull crosses on MACD 2 days ago here on or yesterday on the 1226 and 9, and then last week on the 813 and 5. So these are all signals of the start of a new uptrend. Also, if you look at volume, it has been increasing on the way up. So volume has been picking up. Keep an eye out for a volume spike. Yeah, so take a look at S&P 500 here, SPY, ticker symbol SPY. It's making a bullish move above the middle Bollinger Band as well. And currently RSI is at 59.70. So there's still a lot of room to run until the 70 overbought level. Noticed on previous runs, 70 was hit. So this has room to, and got close to 70 here. This still has more room to push to the upside. Fasto is now back above 80. It's at 95. If you look here, SPY has a history of being able to head higher while above 80 on Fasto. So just breaking above that level today, that is signaling that the chart is really heating up and the bulls are taking control. Notice that there's the same bull cross here on ADX. When the green line crosses the red line to the upside, that's a signal that the chart is building strength and that the bulls are starting to take control. So you want to see that green line stay above the red line if you are a bull. So yeah, yesterday there was a close above the middle Bollinger Band. That's the dotted purple line, currently at 245.39. That is the key level to hold. As long as that level holds, this new uptrend is intact. That's right, SPY is in the process of starting a new uptrend. It is currently making a double top here with the high close resistance level, which is the August 7th close. That is the key level to break. Notice that the upper wick on today's candle almost hit that level and pulled back. So if you see a close above this red horizontal resistance line tomorrow, that's going to signal a breakout higher. The key level, the next key level to break is going to be up here on the upper wick on the candle on August 8th. And then above that will be blue sky territory. So a close above the August 7th close, that will be a new all-time high close for SPY. So yeah, so that's what we're looking for the S&P 500 to be making all-time. What it's really all about is the close, and so we want to see that close up here at 248 or above, and that's going to be signaling that the SPY, that the uptrend is intact, and that there's potential for a breakout higher. Notice there's a recent parabolic SAR bullish flip. The candles are trading above all of the moving averages, riding EMA 4 support higher, and trading above the middle Bollinger Band. If this fails to break here, this 248 resistance zone, then it could form a temporary double top, and you could see the share price pull back. If that happens, then the key is to hold this 50-day simple moving average in middle Bollinger Band. Keep in mind the middle Bollinger Band is also the 20-day simple moving average. Take a look here at the volume spike. So there's big volume behind the move today. Look at all the green volume bars in a row. So this is a 5-day run. If you look down here at MACD, there was a bullish crossover today on the 12, 26, and 9. And last week there was a bullish crossover on the 8, 13, and 5. So the S&P 500 is really heating up, possible new uptrend starting if that middle Bollinger Band support level holds. Okay, take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, ticker symbol INDU. Okay, the RSI is currently at 57. Okay, so it has a lot of room to run as well until the 70 overbought level. Check out how in the past Dow Jones Industrial the Dow Jones Industrial Average has been able to head much higher and sustain have a sustained uptrend with Fasto and RSI at overbought levels. So this is showing that there is plenty of room to keep pushing higher until the overbought levels are hit. And then notice that Fasto is all the way down here at 71, so that's got a lot of room to run as well. So they're both in the bull zone. There was a key development today with the close above the middle Bollinger Band. That's what we were looking for. The middle Bollinger Band is currently at 21900. That is the big level to hold. If that level holds, a new uptrend should begin. Dow Jones Industrial Average started a downtrend when there was a close below the middle Bollinger Band back here on the earlier in August, and then with the 50-day simple moving average holding, there was a double test there of support, and now back above the middle Bollinger Band, it looks like a possible new uptrend could be starting. It needs to break this 22,000 resistance level. That's the closing price here on the 14th. If it can do that, then the high close level is the August 7th once again, and that's up here above 22.1. That's the target to the upside. If this middle Bollinger Band can hold, if this can follows the Nasdaq and the S&P 500. Notice another parabolic SAR bullish flip. Big volume spike today. This was the largest volume since the last week of July. And then down here you've got the bullish crossover this week on the 8, 13, and 5 MACD time frame, and the 12, 26, and 9 is pinched. If that MACD line, the black line, crosses over that blue purple line there, the signal line, that is going to be a signal that a possible new uptrend is starting, that the bulls are taking control. Okay, let's take a look here at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is currently at $4,743.70. It had another strong day, closed up. It's up currently after hours, trading at over 3.5%. It had a super strong day. It made a new all-time high here. It keeps pushing higher. There was a call out that the 4,700 was going to be a top, and then it was going to pull back to 2,500. There's also a lot of people that are saying that a lot of people have that 5,000 as a big target, a big psychological target, and that does look like where this is headed. We've got if 4,700 is now the key level to hold. If it breaks below 4,700 and that becomes resistance, and that could signal some possible consolidation. If it stays above 4,700, then 5,000 level is going to be the target. Notice it's had this really strong uptrend. It's up 74% over the course of the month, and it keeps making new highs. Okay, so with Bitcoin really taking off, there's been a lot of news about GBTC, and if you've checked it out, what Citron Research has put out a short position on GBTC. You can read about this, come back and read about it when you have some time. but yeah, they've been on CNBC. They were just on Fast Money, and yeah, it's pretty interesting. Everyone's talking about over-the-counter stock. I know Insen is over-the-counter, and there are good foreign companies that trade over-the-counter, but most American companies are not discussed that trade over the counter on big networks like CNBC. So this is pretty interesting. And also considering, I mean, this was 300 and this is the weekly chart here. Yeah, there's only 395,000 shares have traded this week. If you look at the average volume is very, very light, but the share prices hit this, extremely high level. Today it hit a new all-time high, breaking above 1050. Let's see, where was that all-time high at? 1064.95 is now the new all-time high. If you look up here, you've got RSI just pushing hard at 89. Notice that this is similar to the previous top. The last time it peaked, it's still a little bit below that level, but if you look down here, the last time it topped out and had a little correction, that was back here in the first week of June. RSI was at a similar level, and notice how the candles work their way back into EMA 13, and then notice the big key here is that the candles actually tested the middle Bollinger Band. They came all the way down to the middle Bollinger Band, and so as long as that middle Bollinger Band is holding, the strong uptrend is intact. Notice that since the inception, since this started trading way back here in May of 2015, every time the middle Bollinger Band gets hit, it pulls back above. The middle Bollinger Band gets hit, it goes back, it works its way back to the middle Bollinger Band, it holds that level, and then it goes back. And then when it corrects, this happens with stocks every day, not just GBTC, but it works its way back to this middle Bollinger Band, and it keeps managing to hold that level because that is the uptrend level. It's maintaining this uptrend. It's staying above the 50-week moving average, above the 20-week moving average, which is the middle Bollinger Band, and it keeps pushing higher. So the point I'm making is, if this just makes a normal correction, it could pull back to the Citron's 550 target. If you look down here, there's a gap on the weekly chart, and it's down here just above 500. It's in between the last week of July and the first week of August. There's a space on the chart, and so that becomes a target. You have to keep in mind, GBTC is an over-the-counter stock. The same in over-the-counter world is gaps get filled. They get filled, you can count on it. If it doesn't get filled soon, it's going to get filled down the line. But most of the time, it's very extremely rare that a gap goes unfilled on an OTC chart. So what happens when you get a big gap like this, it becomes a refill target. And so that might be another reason why Citron feels so confident in saying 550. They might even get down here below that, because if it comes down with this lower wick, what's it going to test? It's going to test the middle Bollinger Band, and that's way down here at 429. So that is the downside risk on this on the stock currently. It is a drop down to 429 in the gap fill. Currently, notice how the candles have been riding this pink line higher. That's EMA 4. That's currently at 793. If you see a weekly close below that level, similar to back here on the second week of June, that's going to signal the run is cooling down. There was a red candle before that signaled that the chart was starting to feel some pressure the week before, and then the break below EMA 4, that's the signal that you could see a correction. Notice on that week, it actually came down and tested EMA 13. So the right now, with this candle busting through the upper Bollinger Band and currently trading well above 854, which is the current upper Bollinger Band level, you could see the candles work back into the bands, and they could test that 800 level, the 793 EMA 4, and hold it and keep pushing higher. And that could be a mini correction. If that level breaks, then you could be seeing there could be the potential drop down to the 500, like they're talking about on TV tonight. And yeah, the big short that's been put out. So keep an eye on GBTC. If you look here at the daily chart, we'll take a little closer look, and you'll see there's actually multiple gaps on the chart. So these are all targets. for the shorts, for the bears. These are all levels that they want to see fill. And the first one is going to be the gap between high of day yesterday and low of day today. And so it dropped down just above 925 here, the top of this candle. That would fill the gap. So if the share price drops down and tests EMA 4, notice how the candle's been holding this pink line. There was a close just below it right here on the 21st, but it held, and EMA 4 has been holding this entire run. I mean, ever since it broke above on this candle here, on this white candle. And so once there's a close below EMA 4, this 906 level, that's going to be the major red flag that, whoa, correction's coming. You know, if you're a trader, you know, that's where you want to go to the sidelines. This is super, super risky. I mean, take warning when somebody huge like Citron is coming out and they're saying that they're attacking over-the-counter penny stock with, check it out, the float here. Look at the security details. There's only a 1.3 million float. I mean, this is such a tiny float. It's such a dangerous short because there's not very many shares trading. I mean, it's at $1,000 a share, so people can't, you know, the average person can't buy many shares at a time. So that's how they can control that. But still, you could get caught on the wrong side of this trade if you were shorting. If you look up here at the market cap, I mean, it's pushing astronomical levels. It's at 1.7 billion right now. So that's why you know, that's why this is being attacked so strongly. If you look back here at the daily chart, so if it drops down to EMA 4, it could fill the first gap. That's gap number 4, and then down here there's a little gap down here. If it dropped down to EMA 13, currently at 780, that would fill gap number 3, and then you have the middle Bollinger Band. That's the big level to hold. It has to hold that level to keep this uptrend going. If that breaks, then you're talking about a drop all the way down to this 50-day simple moving average, the green line, and that's where you'd see gap number 2 fill. And that's what you're talking about, Citron and their short position. They want gap number 2, and they want this big gap number 1 filled. Yes, they have their eyes on gap number 1. That's way down here between high of day on the 7th and low of day here on the 4th. And so, or high of day on the 4th and low of day on the 7th. And so a drop down here to around 480 or so, that's going to fill that gap. So there is potential. I mean, what you have to keep in mind is today's candle is almost a spinning top. It has the long upper wick, and the candle is floating above the upper Bollinger Band, so you could see the candles work back into the bands, similar to the candle here on the 14th. Yeah, and so what we recommend doing for GBTC is to follow the 15-minute chart. And if you look here, this is breaking down the 15-minute chart over the last couple of days. And it shows here the classic tight Bollinger Bands. Look how tight the Bollinger Bands were on the 28th. This was such a great setup. This signaled that a move was imminent, and that there was going to be a change in trend coming very soon. And the break above here on the opening candle on the 29th, that signaled that the break was to the upside and that GBTC was in play. Candle started riding EMA 4 support higher. They held the middle Bollinger Band. The run continued, and then you know, closed strong yesterday. And then today there was the big gap up open. You can see the gap on the chart. So what's going on now? And then it ran to high of day. And when it ran to high of day, notice the first candle of the day. Check out the big long upper wick with the giant volume spike. That shows profit taking. Okay, so that shows profit taking, possibly dilution, and that's could be the what we call the climax spike, because it was the big dump at the beginning here with the big volume, and then you had the high of day that followed through at 10:30, and that was followed by another big red volume bar and a pullback, and then you had another big red volume bar here at 12. And so, yeah, so the question now is, you know, is this going to head higher or is it going to pull back? Well, it's going to come down to whether or not it's going to hold support or if it's going to break resistance. And if it comes down here and it breaks this horizontal support from today, currently at about 990 here, then you're looking at the 50 simple moving average on deck at 959. That's the big level to hold. If it breaks below 959, that's where you can see it really gaining some steam to the downside. You can see a drop down to 878 and the 100 simple moving average tested. It could really get going. So for this to stay bullish, it's got to hold the 50. It's already below the middle Bollinger Band, which is the red flag. When this middle Bollinger Band broke, that was the signal that the chart was breaking down. The bears were winning, and that it's time to lock them in and get to the sidelines if you don't want to risk downside. And so if you're holding on, you want to see this middle Bollinger Band hold. And what needs to happen, it needs to break above this closing price, the high close resistance level, just above 160 here. If it can get above that, that's going to or 1060. If it can get above that, then that's going to signal more upside potential. So yeah, so keep an eye on GBTC tomorrow, and we'll see if it can keep following Bitcoin, if Bitcoin keeps pushing higher, or if this is going to cool down now that it's being attacked. It could get a squeeze going, and it could they might start covering, and it gets crazy more to the upside. Who knows how this is going to play out? It's going to be fun to watch. Yeah, follow the action at mychartcoach.com and our YouTube channel at mychartcoach.com. Okay, thank you.